Guys, we need to stop talking about idols' weights. And I don't just mean when the idol is considered too fat, but even when they're considered too skinny, such as in the case of Triple S's Chaewon. Greetings, Plofessors! So if you've been on K-pop Talk at all, then you've probably already seen numerous videos about Chaewon.
We need to talk about Chaewon from Triple S because this situation is honestly getting really
Triple S
sad.
fans have been getting very concerned over the health of one of their beloved members, Chaewon.
People are calling this concerning, alarming, and even scary.
But for those of you who aren't chronically online, Chaewon is a member from the girl group Triple S who recently went viral after she lost a significant amount of weight in just a few months. It got to the point where her bones were clearly visible, and some people even described her as looking skeletal. Naturally, fans became very concerned, and this issue reignited the never-ending debate surrounding body standards in K-pop. Even I've received many messages asking me to cover Chaewon as well as other idols who have lost a concerning amount of weight over the years. But I'm gonna be honest, guys, this topic has actually been something that I've been actively trying to avoid for the longest time. Firstly, because, well, I'm quite the skinny gal myself, and I already know that there'll be a ton of people who think that someone like me shouldn't be speaking on these issues. But more importantly, I also didn't want to add to these discussions at all, because if anything, I think that fans are actually paying way too much attention to idols' weights in the first place. And yes, I think we should be talking about it less.
Why not?
Wait, but are you saying that you support K-pop's starvation diet? How can you not call out K-pop's unhealthy beauty standards?
I always knew she promoted unhealthy dieting.
No, but you know what I promote instead? Staying healthy through exercise regardless of your body shape or size. And you can do that in style with the help of today's sponsor, Halara. So anyone who knows me will probably tell you that I'm always on the go. I'm always rushing from my dance studio to the gym to meeting my friends, and I don't necessarily have the time to come home and change in between each event. So I've really been on the lookout for comfortable, stylish, and versatile athleisure clothing, and that's how I found out about Halara. Halara has a wide range of athleisure pieces ranging from trousers to shorts to jackets, but my favorite has to be this dress that I'm wearing today, the Softly Zero airy backless twisted cool touch dance active dress. This dress is lightweight and flexible, and it's just great for when I'm dancing or doing anything active because it also comes with built-in shorts and deep pockets, which is so useful for carrying everyday items. Oh, and I also really like its backless design. Not only does it look really cute, it also makes getting changed quick and hassle-free. This is one of those clothing pieces that is pretty much perfect for every occasion. And it's no wonder that this dress is so stylish and functional because it is actually part of the collaboration with Halara Circle, which is an ongoing community where customers can provide their feedback and experiences to help Halara improve its products. I actually really like the idea that the people who wear the clothes are the ones who help shape future updates. I mean, how awesome is that? And you can really see the results of this in the thoughtful updates that Halara has made to this dress over the years. Whether it's adding new shaping features or improving bra support to give us this amazing dress that we have today. I've actually voted on a few Halara Circle polls myself, and I'm curious and super excited to see how Halara will incorporate my feedback into their next product launch. So if you'd like to learn more about Halara's clothing or about Halara Circle, then I'll leave everything linked below. And don't forget to use code PLOOPY to get 20% off full-priced items. Huge thanks to Halara for supporting this channel, and let's get back to today's video. When it comes to the industry, of course, K-pop is notorious for its unhealthy obsession with skinniness. Female idols are expected to have 24-inch waists and weigh no more than 50 kilograms regardless of height, while male idols are expected to have six-packs while somehow still being as skinny as prepubescent teenagers. And the lengths that some agencies go to ensure that your idols fit these standards can be downright abusive. Rather than encouraging healthy and sustainable lifestyle habits, many companies only focus on short-term goals, scrambling to get their idols to lose large amounts of weight ahead of debuts and comebacks. And they do this by putting their idols on very restrictive diets, consisting of no more than chicken breast, salad, and sweet potatoes. But the control doesn't just stop at the meal plans, it's constant and relentless. Even outside of their schedules, idols are constantly being monitored by their companies, to the point where some companies would even put CCTV cameras in the idols' dorms solely to monitor whether they're secretly snacking at home. Another common tactic is forcing idols to over-exercise. On top of the hours of dance practice they're already doing, many idols have also reported having to run long distances or do additional cardio simply to burn extra calories.
I would wake up at 5:30 and we'd have to go out to run at the Hangang River. We'd run 13 kilometers, have a shower, get dressed, and we'd go to the dance studio right away.
You haven't eaten anything yet?
Haven't eaten anything yet.
Right.
And then there are the weigh-ins. Weekly public weigh-ins are apparently commonplace within the K-pop industry. And this is where idols and especially trainees would be weighed in one by one in front of everyone else. And in some cases, these results would even be posted on the company's bulletin board for everyone to see. Of course, the aim of this was to glorify the trainees who lost the most weight while publicly shaming those who failed to meet the benchmark. And well, it definitely worked because many idols and ex-trainees have reported cutting their nails short, dehydrating themselves, or resorting to other measures just to shed a few pounds.
연습생 때 저희는 일주일에 한 번씩 회사에서 몸무게 검사를 해서 그거를 이름과 몸무게를 매주 회사 게시판에 붙여놨어요. 너무 스트레스가 크니까.
스트레스죠. 예.
그때는 우리는 머리도 못 잘랐거든. 그래서 손도 깎고 진짜로 맨날 몸무게 재기 전에 화장실 가서 침 엄청 뱉고 화장실에 소변 엄청 보고 했는데
그러니까 7kg를 그러니까 무조건 빼야 된대. 빼야 그 쇼케이스를 쓸 수 있대. 일주일 동안 아무리 안 먹었어? 진짜 얼음 하나 이런 거. 진짜 얼음 하나. 근데 이거 먹어도 진짜 살찔 것 같은 거야.
Considering how idols live such demanding lifestyles, having to travel, perform, and dance every single day, it's just crazy to think that many of them are surviving on diets that barely provide enough nutrition for basic functioning. I mean, that's probably why we hear so many stories of idols fainting on stage, having to get IVs, or just suffering with general exhaustion during performances. But the consequences don't just stop at the physical, they can also affect idols mentally. Because when people are that deprived, it can actually cause them to develop an unhealthy obsession with food in the long term. On one hand, some idols may develop EDs where they have an intense fear or rejection of food.
나는 아침에 일어나서 4시까지는 아무것도 안 먹다가
While on the other end of the spectrum, many idols have ironically also developed an intense craving for fatty and oily foods. From hoarding snacks to binge eating, there have been many stories of idols engaging in extreme behaviors just to satisfy their cravings.
먹고 싶은 게 있었어요. 근데 그게 이제 흑임자 인절미였는데 너무 먹고 싶은 거예요. 그래서 그거를 하나를 딱 사서 부둥켜 안고 이제 사람들이 아무도 없는 데로 막 제가 숨어가지고 떡 하나를 딱 먹었어요. 너무 맛있어가지고 막 우와 막 세상이 막 빙빙 돌더라고요.
그냥 음식물로 속을 채우는 거예요. 그래서 계속 먹고 잤어요. 먹고 자고 해서 토할 정도로 먹는 거예요.
So yes, the industry and these companies absolutely deserve criticism for promoting these unhealthy practices. But while the public is quick to call out agencies, and rightfully so, I think they're missing the why. Why are these companies so obsessed with making their idols lose weight in the first place? Well, I think the answer is obvious. They're simply catering to the public. I mean, think about it. At the end of the day, agencies are businesses. Their entire job is to create idols that people would support and spend their money on. And if we look at the rare instances where agencies have ignored the conventional body standards, the public's reaction has been brutal to say the least. Perhaps the best example of this was a girl group from 2011 called the Piggy Dolls. Yes, that was actually their name. Their company Winning Insight debuted them with the specific intention to subvert body standards in Korea, with the CEO even saying that as long as they could sing, the way that they looked didn't really matter. But well, he was proven completely wrong, because as soon as Piggy Dolls debuted, they received massive backlash for their bodies. People either completely ignored their vocal abilities, or even in the cases where they did acknowledge the members' talents, they still said that their appearances were just too bad to ignore.
네, 1집 2개월 정도 했거든요. 근데 반응이 이렇게 실적지 않아서요. 그래서 이제 뚱뚱한 컨셉으로 안 되겠다.
The debut ended up flopping so spectacularly that the company had to completely backtrack on their original vision, and the members were forced to go on diets ahead of their next comeback, before eventually getting replaced by an entirely new set of conventionally attractive members. Stories like the Piggy Dolls really goes to show that while companies may be complicit in promoting unhealthy body standards, ultimately it's really the public that dictates what these standards are. And sadly, Piggy Dolls aren't the only example of idols getting fat-shamed. In the 15 years since, many other idols, even those who are nowhere near as plus size as the Piggy Dolls, have also experienced the same sort of body shaming. Examples include Hani from New Jeans, Wendy from Red Velvet, Huning Kai from TXT, Kyla from Pristin, and many more. Not only do these idols have to face hurtful comments from the general public, sometimes even the group's own fans can endorse the body shaming. Some fans may blame these members for bringing down the visual quality of the entire group, while others may even go as far as to skip over them during fan meetings. Worse yet, these differences in treatment can extend to an idol's entire career, affecting their opportunities, visibility, and overall career trajectory. Sponsors and fashion brands, for example, usually tend to ignore these idols in favor of their more popular and conventionally attractive group mates. Makeup artists and stylists are also known to favor skinnier idols over the bigger ones, with some outright stating that skinnier idols simply flatter the makeup and clothing better. Meanwhile, photographers are even more brutal, often turning their cameras away from these quote-unquote visual holes in order to focus on the more conventionally attractive members instead.
유뱅이나 이런 데 설 때 유아를 돋보이게 하려고 나랑 유아를 같이 세우는 거야. 그걸 나중에 어떻게 알았냐면 그 얘기를 회사 사람이 자기 입으로 했었어. 일부러 그렇게 했었다고.
On the other hand, previously so-called overweight idols who lose the weight can also gain massive popularity overnight, such as aespa's Ningning and IVE's Liz.
My goal in 2025 is to glow up like how Ningning did.
These days, so many people are raving about their supposed glow-ups, and some have even linked their weight loss to personality attributes, claiming that this proves their hardworking nature and dedication to their job. And so, in an environment like this, where the industry and the public put so much emphasis on an idol's body, and where your figure can literally be the difference between career success and suicide, it's no wonder that idols and their companies are willing to go to such drastic lengths just to lose weight. Thankfully, over the past few years, attitudes have started to shift. As the body positivity movement continues, and with growing influence from international K-pop fans, people have begun pushing back against the industry's extreme beauty standards. These days, fans do not hesitate to call out fat shaming or criticize companies for promoting unhealthy diets. And on the surface, that seems like a great thing, right? But here's the problem. As the conversations have become more nuanced, I've noticed that instead of reducing the judgment on idols' bodies, the discussions surrounding their bodies have actually become more frequent than ever before. Idols now have to walk a very thin tightrope when it comes to their weight, because not only do they get criticized for gaining weight, now they can also face judgment for losing weight. Every weight change seems to spark endless debates, with fans constantly speculating on who's healthy, unhealthy, dieting, not dieting, even without any actual evidence or medical knowledge. While I'd like to believe that these discussions are coming from a place of genuine concern, it does raise an important question. When does concern become another form of fixation? And at what point does body positivity become counterproductive? Like, a really concerning trend that I see nowadays is how some international fans equate being healthier with being heavier. And as soon as an idol gains even the small amount of weight, weight, these fans will immediately flock to social media to celebrate the idol for being healthier than before, even without knowing what actually caused the weight gain. An example would be Twice's Jeongyeon, who did gain some weight in the early 2020s. While she no doubt faced plenty of fat-shaming comments, which is obviously never okay, there were also some fans who glorified her for being healthier after the weight change. These fans framed the weight gain as some sort of conscious health decision or societal statement, and some even went as far as to proclaim that she was one of the healthiest idols out there. As it turns out, the weight gain was actually the result of a condition called Cushing syndrome.
그 당시에 너무 힘들었어서 사실 잘 기억은 안 나는데 언니가 저를 붙잡고 너 몸이 좀 이상하다. 좀 병원에 가야 될 것 같다. 그때 저의 이제 정확한 진단을 알았고 이제 쿠싱이라는 게 저도 처음 듣는 단어여서
Jeongyeon revealed that the steroids caused her to crave sweet foods and made it difficult for her to stay active. And she herself even expressed that she wanted to get back to a healthier lifestyle. Yet when she finally managed to get off her steroids and began losing some of the weight, she was then shamed by certain international fans for betraying the body positivity movement, while others accused her of abusing Ozempic or having an ED. Similarly, idols like Park Bom and CL were also glorified for their weight gain, with fans once again praising them for becoming healthier, only for it to later be revealed that the weight gain was actually due to stress or other ongoing issues. And here's the thing, as misinformed as these comments are, many fans still don't think there's any harm in complimenting an idol for their weight. After all, the comments are all positive, right? So what's the problem? Well, it becomes a bit of an issue if the weight gain was actually unwanted or unintentional. Like, to give you a story from my life, it kind of reminds me of that time where a hairdresser complimented me for having a unique and asymmetrical head shape. I haven't been able to unsee it ever since.
Emotional damage!
And I can imagine that it's probably the same for idols if the weight gain is actually unwanted. Even if people are calling it a glow up, it's still drawing attention to a potential insecurity, which can just make these compliments seem somewhat backhanded. This is exactly what happened to Asa from BABYMONSTER recently. After a fan complimented her for looking healthier, Asa looked visibly upset and she immediately sucked in her cheeks, showing that in the minds of many idols, the word healthy has actually become synonymous with being called fat. And this can have real consequences, like what we saw with Stacey's J. After she gained just a bit of weight in 2024, fan cams of her started going viral, with people once again incessantly praising her for looking healthier than before. But instead of boosting her confidence, J later revealed that these comments actually made her hyper aware of her weight gain, something which she hadn't even particularly paid attention to beforehand. As a result of all of this attention, Jay ended up apologizing to fans for letting herself go and began going on a diet afterwards. Hey, it's editing me here. So actually when I was finding comments to put into this video, another common compliment that I would see some of these so-called overweight idols get was stuff like,
"Oh, I love how confident she is in her body,"
which you rarely ever hear them say about people who actually fit the conventional beauty standards. So yeah, that's another example of a compliment that can be perceived as somewhat backhanded. But the situation gets even worse when we look at how some fans hypocritically engage in skinny shaming. Because believe it or not, there are some idols who are just naturally skinny. That's just the way their bodies are. Yet these very same fans who supposedly preach body acceptance somehow just can't seem to accept that. Idols such as Lisa, Rosé, and Sunmi, for instance, regularly face insulting comments about their bodies.
너무 말라서 되게 멸치 같아. 징그러워. 징그러워 막 이런 말들이 난무하는데 댓글에 막.
I would know how frustrating these comments are because I regularly receive them as well, especially on my dance videos. Aside from the comments that call me skeleton and insults like that, the ones that really bother me are the people who speculate about my eating habits and my supposed body image issues. And while I'm sure most of these commenters would consider themselves body positive, ironically, the only times I haven't felt that positive about my body was when I received their comments. Whether it's comments accusing me of having an ED, saying that I look too skinny, or even the ones complimenting me for looking fatter. You know, none of these comments make me feel good. And if that's my experience as an influencer, I can't even imagine how it's like for the K-pop idols who receive thousands of comments about their bodies every single day. In some ways, it feels like these so-called body positive netizens are simply replacing society's beauty standards with their own set of subjective standards. So really, the standards might have changed, but the obsession with people's bodies remains the same. That being said, based on everything we know about the K-pop industry, I'm certain that there are probably many idols out there who do indeed suffer from EDs or body dysmorphia. But it's still unfair for us to be out here speculating on who these idols are just based on their appearance alone. And honestly, even in the cases where an ED is confirmed, I would argue it's still not a good idea to constantly be talking about their body. Now, I'm not a mental health expert, but I am a pharmacist, and we do have to deal with ED patients from time to time. One thing we've always been taught is to focus on the patient's concerning behaviors rather than their bodies. We should never be commenting on how an ED patient looks. That's like the worst thing to do. To be clear, I think it's perfectly valid to call out idols who are actively encouraging ED behaviors. As BS says here, some idols can be both victims and perpetuate rigid beauty standards. And if they're encouraging unhealthy behaviors amongst their audience, then they should rightfully be called out. But again, that's an example of focusing on actions. What I'm against is this constant focus on visuals. Oh, she looks too skinny. She looks like she's becoming healthier. It's always about the looks. And I think that that's really damaging, especially for ED patients. Oh, and by the way, if you'd like to be featured in future videos, then be sure to keep up to date with my community posts, because that's where I gather you guys' opinions on upcoming video topics. I actually double-checked this with a few mental health organizations as well, and all of them seem to agree. Commenting on an ED patient's appearance is almost never constructive to their recovery, which is especially ironic because I feel like people tend to focus on a person's looks even more when they find out that they have an ED. In the mind of an ED patient, comments such as "you're too skinny" can actually sound like compliments, and conversely, comments about how an ED patient is looking healthier or gaining weight can sound like huge insults, to the point where it can completely reverse their recovery process. So it's definitely a very tricky situation that needs to be handled very delicately. And the way that netizens are going about it, you know, hyper-analyzing every pound of weight change, zooming into idols' bones and such, it's just not the way to go about things. Oh, and on that note, I should probably add that this video was actually filmed some time ago, and at this point, Chaewon from S has actually put the weight back on. So fans are understandably very relieved, and as expected, they've gone onto social media to say things like, "Oh, she looks so much healthier now. I'm glad to see Chaewon has put so much weight back on." And that does make me a little bit concerned. Obviously, we do not know if Chaewon has an ED or not, and I'm not going to speculate on that. But if she does, then people need to realize that just because an ED patient puts on weight doesn't mean they've gotten rid of that mindset, and seeing these types of comments can actually trigger some patients to relapse. So yeah, again, just another example of why we shouldn't talk about people's weight. This is probably the reason why in the cases where